My dad walked in on my first gay kiss. I wasn't sure they'd be mad if they found out if I was gay, but I also wasn't sure they'd be accepting to it. They never said a word on the subject. I'm really hoping the dad's accepting. He was like, hey, you are who you are and I love you.
Yeah.
Any first kiss? Super awkward. Hey everyone, welcome back to Delve Deck Stories. Today we're going to be talking about gay dating stories, and our first story comes from Andrew, and it's, what is your most cringe-worthy high school memory? From the original Delve Deck. My dad walked in on my first gay kiss.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably awkward to have your parents walk in on any kiss. I wouldn't like that.
Yeah, any first kiss? Super awkward. I grew up in a fairly conservative Midwest suburb, and although I knew I was gay at a pretty young age, I was not out to anyone. I figured I would wait to live my truth until I moved away from home. Although my parents were not very religious, they still seemed very conservative and old-fashioned to me. My mom was a homemaker, my dad was an ex-military, strong and silent type. I wasn't sure they'd be mad if they found out if I was gay, but I also wasn't sure they'd be accepting to it. They never said a word on the subject. Definitely not the house that, or parents, you'd have a conversation where you're like, so this is what I'm feeling like right now.
Yeah.
You know? My best friend in high school was this girl, Sarah, and we were always hanging out. My parents referred to her as my girlfriend, and I didn't correct them, but we really were just friends. It was through Sarah that I met Logan, who she worked with at a pizza shop in town. The three of us hung out a lot, and although we didn't talk about it, I got the feeling Logan was also gay and developed a crush on him. I'm hoping Sarah becomes like the wing woman here.
Yeah.
One afternoon, we were playing video games at my house, and my dog jumped on Sarah, causing her to spill a big glass of water all over herself and making her shirt a bit see-through. She said, Andy, can I get a dry shirt? I don't want you two pervs staring at my chest all afternoon. Logan laughed and goes, you wish. Your chest doesn't do anything for me. Oh. Clue number one. She goes, yeah, whose chest would you prefer? And he said, Channing Tatum's. Okay, now it's for sure.
For sure, obvious. Yeah.
We all laughed, and I got her a dry shirt, but I was dying inside, finally having confirmation that Logan liked boys.
Nice.
All right. Here we go.
Let's kiss.
A couple hours later, Sarah had to leave, but Logan hung out and we continued playing video games. This is how it all starts, you know? You're playing video games, you know, Mario Kart, N64 kind of thing. Boom.
You're like, I want to know which game it was.
I was beating him at Mario Kart, and he started trying to wrestle the controller away from me, which led to more wrestling in general. And the next thing I knew, we were kissing.
Hell yeah.
Get it, baby. That's what I'm talking about. My first kiss, and it was with a boy. I was so wrapped up in the kiss, I didn't hear my dad calling for me from the other room. Ooh.
This is a passionate kiss.
Yeah.
This isn't like, should we kiss each other? This is not a kiss you want your parents walking in on.
Yeah. Well, I feel like this is all other senses go completely dark. You're in the moment. Fireworks are happening. You are totally in with this.
This is a good first kiss, other than your dad walking in.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
My dad came in and saying, your mom wants to know if your friends want to stay for dinner. Oh, and he turned around and walked out. It's like that Simpsons meme where
he just faded into the...
Oh, that too. I was going to say where the grandpa walks into the bar and then puts in the hat and then picks it up and leaves. The moment went from magical to terrifying in an instant. I was mortified. My dad had just seen me kissing a boy. Logan pulled away and goes, do you think he's mad? I said, I don't know. Logan said he should probably go. I walked him out in case my dad was super pissed and looking to let Logan have it. I really had no idea what to expect. This is like how to ruin a great magical moment.
Yeah, you just don't... You don't want that.
I don't know. I'm really hoping the dad's accepting. He's like, hey, you are who you are and I love you, you know, as opposed to we got to talk about something at dinner. It's like, oh God.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping the dad is accepting.
I don't know. Having to deal with your parents at all with these types of situations. Like, obviously you want your dad to be like, oh, I'm accepting and I understand. But like, there would be a part of me that would be like, I just want to never speak about this ever again.
I'm leaving school. I'm running away. I get like a Men in Black neuralizer thing, you know, just like wipe the memory. This never happened, Dad. After Logan left, I ate dinner with my parents and brother like nothing had happened. My dad didn't say a word about what he had seen. When I finally had a minute alone with my mom in the kitchen, I asked, do you think Dad's mad at me? And she said, no. Why would he be? What did you do? I was like, nothing, no reason, never mind. I found my dad on the back porch having a smoke and said, Dad, sorry about earlier. And he said, nothing to apologize for. Oh, yes, way to go, Dad.
Hell yeah, Dad.
Your mom and I always kind of suspected you preferred fellas. And then you kept bringing Sarah around. I guess now we know. That's the kind of parent you want. Someone who is like, yeah, you know what? We kind of knew, but we didn't want to like put it on you. We wanted you to feel comfortable to tell us.
Or even if they didn't know, who are just like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
great.
That's cool. I said, So you're not mad? To which he replied, nah, and continued to puff on his Marlboro. It wasn't the coming out moment I'd always imagined, but I will always be grateful to my dad for being so chill about the whole thing. It sounds like a supportive dad.
Yeah.
You know? Or maybe he's one of those people, one of those father figures or people who are like, you know what, I may have this background and I may not be comfortable talking about it, but if it comes up, I'm here to support you.
I mean, I think that's all you can be as a parent is like supporting and
at the very least
loving of your kid.
Yeah. Our next story comes from Leo, and it's what's the worst date you ever went on from the venting edition. He showed up to the date completely wasted. I've definitely been on a date like this. I wasn't wasted, someone else was wasted, but I've definitely had this.
You're like, you sympathize with.
Yeah, and I get where you're coming from, even before we start the story.
Nobody wants that.
No. I used to work at a bank, and one of my older coworkers kept trying to set me up with her nephew. This already sounds like it's a I always told her I wasn't interested because if the date didn't go well, I thought it might get awkward between us. Also, I had a feeling her nephew and I were the only two gay men that she had ever met. Probably. Straight people love to try to set up their two gay friends as if being gay automatically means we're going to be compatible. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, you're gay, you're gay. This is how it works. Yeah.
You should be together.
Yeah, they're like puzzle pieces. No. Anyway, this woman eventually retired, and at her retirement party, she was like, this is your last chance for me to set you up with Chris. Don't do it. I had a few drinks in me and was like, fine, what the hell? Give me his number. I texted him that night, introducing myself, and said his aunt had been trying to set us up for 2 years. He responded, oh yeah, I've heard all about you. She says you're very handsome. Oh, boy. What? That's such like an aunt like setup.
He's very handsome, so you too.
Yeah, you both like to eat food.
You're both gay boys, and he's very handsome, so you should definitely date and marry and fall in love.
Mm-hmm. We sent each other a few more flirty texts and decided to meet up the next night at a cocktail bar. I was nervous because I had never been on a blind date before. This was before smartphones, and I wasn't on any of the early social media sites, so I'd never seen any pictures of him. I was going in this whole thing knowing nothing except that he would be wearing a purple shirt. When I got to the cocktail bar, I saw my date immediately. He was sitting at a table, drink in hand, with a purple University of Portland shirt on. He was cute, but also looked pretty young. I was 33, but figured some people just look young. My coworker said we were the same age. Maybe he had Botox? I went to the table to introduce myself, and Chris excitedly stood up. As he did, he hit the table with his knee and knocked his drink over. He also stumbled so much that I had to reach out to catch him. He slurred, oops, looks like I've fallen in love.
Oh no. Nobody likes that line. That's a bad line.
I fake laughed at a stupid joke as an annoyed bartender came over to clean up the mess. I got him seated and was like, what were you drinking? I can get another round. Against my better judgment, because he was already clearly drunk, but I didn't really know what else to do. I just met the guy and didn't want to baby him. I don't know, tequila and tequila, he mumbled? I was like, sure thing. Tequila and tequila? This guy's gone, dude.
This is not
that
a drink.
Been the first time.
This is not a drink.
Tequila and tequila, you've been like, I'm gone.
You're like, have fun.
You're like, I'll take a cab in a cab. And then I went to the bar to order our drinks. I ordered myself a Negroni and decided to get him a margarita because tequila and tequila is not something you order at a cocktail bar, unless you're an alcoholic. But the bartender was like, we're not serving him anymore. He's been here for 3 hours and has already broken 2 glasses.
What?
I was like, I'm sorry, what? 3 hours? What is going on?
Why were you here for 3 hours?
I was like, I'm sorry, what? Yeah, is that your friend? You need to get him home. I was like, no, it's a blind date. I don't know the guy. The bartender just shrugged and gave me a look like, damn, that sucks, but he's your problem now. I mean...
He's just been drinking tequila and tequila for 3 hours.
Yeah. Also, it's like, tequila and tequila, just be like, a bottle of tequila.
Could I just get that bottle off the shelf and I'll go sit at the table while I wait for my date for 3 hours?
Also, give me a glass because that's classic. I went back to the table and told Chris I was hungry. There was a diner nearby, so maybe if I got some food in him, he'd sober up. He didn't seem to know what was going on, but stood up without saying anything and stumbled out of the bar. I found him out of the bar and immediately turned and screamed at me, I'm not a child. You can't treat me like this.
Yeah, this is a lot of red flags.
This is no good. I wanted to be like, what the hell is happening right now? But instead I said, how about we get some food and talk about it? His demeanor immediately changed and he was like, I want French fries.
Me too.
Fine, let's get some French fries. I feel like after, we'll see what happens, but I feel like after this, I would have some words for my old coworker and be like,
yeah,
you're nephew has a problem. You need to stop trying to set him up with people and get him help. In hindsight, I should have left immediately. Yes. But for some reason, I felt like he was my responsibility and I needed to get him home safe. I guess that's nice of you. At the diner, I ordered food and watched Chris sloppily dunk French fries into ketchup and slurp them down. I tried asking him questions about himself, but he kept talking with his mouth full and was slurring his words so much I couldn't really understand what he was saying. One thing I did make out when I asked him was what he does for work. I'm studying business, he said. I was like, okay, maybe he went back to school to get his MBA. I tried to clarify and he was like, not MBA, I study entrepreneur. I'm going to sell stocks.
Do you study entrepreneur?
I study, what is this guy? This guy's like a caveman. I study entrepreneur. I sell stocks. What? So I asked the question I should have asked before even agreeing to the date. Wait, how old are you? 22, he slurred. Get out of there, dude. Get out of there.
Yeah.
2 thoughts crossed my mind. First, horror. I was not trying to date someone 11 years younger than me. Second, I was very flattered my coworker thought I was 22. I guess
you're like, all right.
I guess
no, thank you.
Yeah, you're like, I guess this skincare regimen is working.
Yeah.
The reveal basically settled that I needed to make my escape. I actually have something else I need to get to. Do you need a ride home? Should I call you a cab? I asked. He looked at me and was like, do you like to party? Wow.
I don't know. This kid is a mess. He's 22. Who wasn't a mess when they were 22?
22. I'm assuming he just got out of college or is like a senior.
He's studying entrepreneur.
Yeah, he's studying entrepreneur. Big smart brain. What do you mean? I asked. Meet me in the bathroom and I'll show you. Oh God. The drugs, the sex, who knows? He grinned at me with French fry chunks and ketchup on his face. So sexy. Then he winked and stumbled off to the bathroom. I don't know what his plans were for me in the bathroom, but I have a few ideas, none of which were of any interest to me. I found the server and told her I was sorry about his behavior and could she please call him a cab home. She seemed annoyed.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But I was done with this guy being my problem. Luckily, Chris never tried contacting me again. Still the worst date I've ever been on, and I'm so happy that I never had to confront his aunt about what a mess her nephew was. I mean, I would have at least sent a strongly worded email and being like, now that you're retired, please focus all of your attention on getting your nephew help because he is a hot mess. Our next story comes from Scott, and it's what's the worst date you ever went on from the venting edition. I went on a date with the most uptight prude on the planet. Well, that sounds like the worst.
That's the worst thing that could ever happen on a date.
I originally met this guy Jason at an event hosted at our university's LGBTQ club, so I knew he was gay. It was my freshman year and I was attending college in a major city. I was really excited to finally live in a real city, be fully out of the closet, and maybe even find my first boyfriend. I chatted with Jason a bit at the event and thought he was cute, but didn't think much of it beyond that. Then, a few days later, my dorm building had a fire in the middle of the night, and all of us were out in the street in front of the building in our pajamas waiting for the fire department to clear the building. I spotted Jason in the crowd and started talking to him. The conversation was fun and flirty, and I asked him if he'd like to go out sometime. He said he'd love to and gave me his number. My head swirled at the thought of meeting my first boyfriend so serendipitously, and I imagined us telling people about our meet cute months from now. Oh, this is
it's usually not how it works out.
I called him the next day and invited him out. I suggested we see a new horror movie I was looking forward to, but Jason was like, oh, I don't do scary movies, and then suggested we see Toy Story 3 instead. Bruh. His name is Jason. He should be up
You say he has to like scary movies.
Yeah. Friday the 13th. Come on, man. Or maybe he grew up being like, everyone was like, your name's Jason. You gotta love me. He's like, I don't like scary movies.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of kids movies, but I liked the guy and wanted to seem easygoing, so I said this was fine. I suggested an 8 p.m. showing so the theater wouldn't be full of screaming kids, but Jason wanted to go at 5 p.m. What is he, an old man? Like, why is he trying to get the matinee? He said because he's not into staying out super late. This guy's old. This guy's like an old man in a young boy's body. You know?
It's a Benjamin Button situation.
Yeah. He's like, I've lived so many years inside this young man's body. I had a sinking feeling that Jason might be a lot less fun than he initially seemed, but I agreed to the date since I was thinking with the wrong head at the time. Ayo. The movie theater was a 20-minute walk away from campus, so I met him in front of the dorm and we walked over. The entire time we walked, he kept commenting that he had never been off campus before and wasn't sure if the theater was in a safe neighborhood. Now keep in mind, this was early November and we were over 2 months into the school year. It was crazy to me that he had never been off campus given that we were both going to school in the middle of a major city. I was like, what do you normally do for fun if you don't leave campus? And he goes, oh, just study, play chess, go to stuff on campus. I'm not really a city guy. He spent the entire walk to the theater telling me about crime stats for the city and saying stuff like, do you think there are a lot of muggings in this area? And do you think people can tell we're on a date? I don't want to get beat up.
Why'd you go to school in a major city? I want to know what school this is and what city. Don't live in a city if you're going to be scared of the city. Also, I feel like I would be less worried about being beaten up for being gay in a major city than if you're like in some small town.
By the time we got to the theater, I was already kind of over it. But being a teenage boy, I thought maybe there could be at least sex at the end of the night if I played along. So I put up with Jason's wet blanket routine.
He's going to be in bed, not with you, at the end of this night.
It'll be a book he falls asleep to. I asked him if he wanted to get a bite to eat after the movie, but he shot down all of my suggestions. Indian food was too spicy. He didn't like sushi, etc. Finally, he said, it's getting kind of late. Maybe we should just head back. I don't like staying out after dark. It will be my bedtime soon anyway.
I feel like this kid was super sheltered when he was younger, and he's
possibly
just
homeschooled?
like... It's giving homeschool, but super sheltered, and he's just decided like, oh well, my parents do know best, and 7 p.m. is of course my bedtime,
right?
And I am going to keep
robotic.
that.
7 p.m. is my bedtime.
Yeah, like some kids go to college and they like rebel against their parents. They're like, oh my god, I can stay out whenever,
right.
And he's just like, no, mommy and daddy were right.
Creepy. Being the teenage idiot that I was, I thought bedtime meant we were both going to bed together. So I was like, yeah, let's head back for bedtime. He spent the walk back telling me more about the dangers of literally everything. The city was full of crime. Homeless people sometimes snuck into the university library to rob people. Drug addicts would stab you for no reason, etc. This guy's like paranoid.
Yeah.
The man seemed like he was afraid of his own shadow.
I don't know why you think that this man is sleeping with you. I realize you're just young and stupid, but sex wouldn't be good either.
Yeah, no, not
this
at all.
isn't going to be a fun time. He's going to be like, and make sure that you're covered in plastic, a full body condom.
When we finally got back to the dorm, I said, so where are we going to bed? Your room or mine? He looked at me like I was insane and goes, I don't do that on the first date. Or ever.
Virgin.
Yeah. Loser. I actually felt relieved by this reaction. It finally fully clicked that Jason and I had nothing in common and that even f***ing the guy would be as tiresome as talking to him. I told him to have a good night and went on my way.
I feel like this was so obvious from the get-go, but I'm glad that you figured it out.
I hope you enjoyed the movie, at least.
It is a good movie.
You'd think that would be the end of it, but he called me the next day to say, I had so much fun last night. When do you want to go out again? I was like, huh? This was his idea of fun? Were we on the same date? I told him I appreciated the call, but I didn't think we had that much in common and probably shouldn't go out again. As a funny postscript to all of this, I became friends with another guy a couple years later who had also been on a date with Jason, and then he had the exact same experience with him. I hope wherever he is now, it's somewhere out in the country away from the big bad city he hated so much and shacked up with a man as boring as he is.
That's always such a weird experience at the end of a date when you're like, this went terribly, and then the other person is like, we should keep dating, and you're like, oh, I guess we had very different experiences.
I mean, I've definitely been on a first date where the girl was very sarcastic, like just, I was like, this is terrible, she hates me. Only to get a text later that night that was like, that was so much fun, let's go out this weekend. And I was like, were we on the same date? Seriously, what is going on here? Our final story comes from Ryan, and it's, what's the worst date you ever went on? From the venting edition. I got catfished by a woman. I could see how this would be a problem.
Yeah.
I've had some bad dates, but this one took the cake. A lot of gay dating apps end up being strictly for hookups, which is great, but I'm in my 30s now and really want to settle down someday. Some of my friends started using this new app, Archer, which is supposed to be more geared towards relationships. I figured, what the hell? I might as well give it a shot. Here we go. I created a profile and started swiping. I ended up matching with this guy, Aaron. He was really handsome and it seemed like we had a lot in common. We started chatting about all sorts of things and discovered that we were both into manga and anime. We talked about our favorites and bonded over both of us loving Our Dreams at Dusk, a story about a queer kid who gets outed by his classmates. We exchanged numbers, and after a few days of spending all night texting, I decided to make a move and ask Aaron if he'd like to get drinks sometime. I was thrilled when he agreed. The night of the date, I was honestly kind of nervous. I had met random guys for hookups and had boyfriends before, but Aaron felt really special. I went to the bar we agreed on a little early and ordered myself a drink to get rid of some of my nerves. Is this the guy from the earlier story? Tequila and tequila?
Tequila and tequila.
He doesn't even remember what's going on. 7 p.m. came, no Aaron. 5 minutes passed, 10 minutes passed, then 15. I was starting to get worried that he had stood me up. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore, so I texted him, "Hey, just wanted to see if you're still on your way. Hope traffic isn't too bad." A few minutes passed, and finally he responded, "I'm actually already there." Okay. I looked around the bar for someone who looked like the pictures I'd seen, but there was no one. I started thinking he must have lied about his age or something, so I texted back, "Where?" He responded, "In the booth at the back." I looked over to the front of the bar and saw not Aaron sitting there waving at me, but some random woman.
I don't know why. Like, what does she think this big reveal is gonna be? Like, she's gonna be like, "You're welcome."
Like, is she gonna pull off a mask as a woman to reveal that she's a man? I don't know. This is so weird. Like, also, why would a woman go onto a gay dating? I mean, maybe we'll find out. But why would a woman go onto a gay dating app, say that she's a man, have photos that are clearly of a man, then show up in person being like, "He's gonna love me.
He's going to like this a lot."
Yeah, like, he knew what he was getting. What? No, not at all.
Nobody wants that.
I just stared at her blankly while I processed what the hell was going on. She seemed to realize I wasn't about to move, so she came over to me and stuck out her hand. "Hi, I'm Aaron. E-R-I-N, not A-A-R-O-N. Still doesn't explain the photos or the fact that it's spelled differently, or that she's a woman. I was like, "What do you mean you're Aaron?" "I mean that I'm the person you've been talking to on Archer." She smiled as if it was a cute reveal or something. "Girl, what?" "I thought I was talking to a man," I asked. "I use pictures of my brother," she responded. I don't know if she thought that made it okay.
She's like, "He's one step removed from it. We
Yeah.
kind of look alike."
Yeah, like, are you setting me up with your brother? Is your brother also named Aaron? Like, did your parents name you Aaron and him Aaron? This is very confusing right now. So now I was extremely annoyed and confused. "So you went on a gay dating app to pretend to be a man?" I asked her. She was like, "Yeah, sorry. I just didn't think you would swipe on me if you knew I was a woman." I was like, yeah, I wouldn't have. Because I'm gay. What is so hard for this other Aaron to understand? Go onto Tinder or Bumble or whatever else. Then she starts going into this whole thing about how it's so hard to find a good man and straight guys are such jerks. I was like, "Sweetie, I don't doubt it, but this isn't the move." She kept saying, "If you just give me a chance, I think it could work."
Bruh.
It's not going to work.
No. We had so much fun texting each other. I was like, "Do I really have to spell out that I only date men?" Honestly, this whole thing was pretty comical. I couldn't believe she thought this plan would work. She also seemed completely oblivious as to why I didn't want to date her. G-A-Y, gay. Like, I don't know, spell it out that easy, I guess.
Just, you're not his type at all.
Never gonna happen, girl. At one point, I was like, "I kissed a woman once. I don't want to do it again. I don't want to have sex with a woman. I want to be f***ed by a man." And she responded, "I don't mind using a strap-on." What? No.
It's not the same, girly.
I wanted to scream, "That's not the point, lady." Oh, God. I don't even know why this guy's still talking to her. I would have just been like, "See ya," and left. Finally, I was like, "You lied to me. You lied about what you look like, and you lied about your name. My name is technically the same, and people say me and my brother look a lot alike." She insisted. "Yes, but again, your brother is a man, and I date men." I could not believe how persistent she was. "But my brother doesn't even like anime. That was all me. He wouldn't care about any of all that stuff." How many times do I have to say, "Sure, but again, you are a woman. I don't date women."
She's very aggressive.
Yeah, like,
I don't know what's so complicated for her.
like, this is so many back and forth of, "I'm gay. Okay, well, there's also
Here's
this
my
part of me."
excuse as to why it should be okay.
Eventually, after I finished my third or fourth drink, Yes, I stayed there that long, but the whole situation was too ridiculous to not let it play out. I was like, listen, maybe we could have been friends, but I'm not going to be friends with someone who lies to me, and I'm definitely not going to date you. Good luck with your search, but I'd recommend you stop pretending to be your brother. I have no idea what happened to Erin, but I hope she took my advice and quit trying to catfish gay men.
I hope so too, but she seems pretty delusional, so I don't know.
I'm going to assume she didn't stop. She didn't get the hint, despite the back and forth and all of the direct explanations to her. I mean, okay, so in this scenario, which story do you think is
the worst?
Yeah, the worst.
The worst date to end up on. I mean, being catfished is pretty bad. She seemed harmless, so at least there's that. I feel like catfishing could be dangerous, but she seemed just stupid. The wet blanket dude, like, that sucks, but like, whatever. I feel like the drunk kid sounds the worst.
You think he's the worst?
Yeah, I would be so annoyed. I mean, and having your parents walking in on you kissing anyone would be super awkward. But I would be so annoyed if I had to deal with a drunk person.
Yeah, I would say that one, I would agree. The drunk one is probably a lot just because it's like unnecessary responsibility, and then my follow-up would probably be the cat.
Yeah,
because it's like, I mean, I guess maybe at the end after a few drinks you're like, okay, this is so ridiculous.
Dating sucks,
it
period.
does.
I think that's the moral of this story.
So much time and effort, and that's even with the people that aren't getting catfished.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for Delve Deck Stories. If you like what you heard today, make sure to like and subscribe and check out some of our other Delve Deck stories. And if you have a story that you want to submit to us, make sure to do it at share.delvedeck.com.